Hizzle, all for shizzle We got an excellent show here today. Actually, today's show, I'm asking you, the audience, what is Zelensky's fate? Now, there are several things that I have thought about. Um, Number one being that he lives here in Florida. I say here in Florida, I'm in Georgia, but Florida uh, is to, of course, retire in his home in Florida off the Key West. That's number one. Number two, um, I think Zelensky is in danger right now. I think he's facing danger. I think I think him and Trump talked about uh, the dangers that Zelensky's facing because, of course, the Azovs will blame Zelensky for the loss, and we don't want that. Also, what I didn't mention yesterday, what I am going to mention today, is that um, there will be have there will be elections in Ukraine. So this is the first time they're going to be holding elections. Now, will this work to Zelensky's disadvantage, being that he uh, has lost the war, and now he's, uh, the original demand by the Ofsos was no peace talks. Well, now he's forced to do peace talks because of the situation, Trump coming in office and the funds being cut off from the U.S., which is putting a strain on the UN. And being that Russia has gained so much ground and land, and that the Kremlin is refusing, they're going to refuse to come up off that. Okay? They're going to refuse to come off that. Number two, um, Trump recognizes, and the media, they try to, the walks, they try to push this narrative like, oh, Trump is Putin's puppet, which is not the case. Trump just happens to know, like I happen to know, who people who do history on, and it was not even long history. This is back in the 80s, when this, I want to say right after the fall of the Soviet Union, Russia Russia, the former surrounding, except for Poland, but Russia's red line was that these nations, none of them were to join NATO. So NATO's out of the question. NATO, that's off the, and it baffles me because Biden sent Kamala Harris, and Kamala Harris said on TV, and this is what started the whole war. She said that Ukraine will be part of NATO, and Putin was like, "What? Say what?" And so that that really was part of the spark that provoked the conflict in Ukraine. So now that Trump has won and um, Zelensky now faces some choices, like I said, he's got to come to peace terms and he's got to deal with the election. So yeah, his fate is really uh, what I would suggest. Now I gotta ask my audience when they come in, what do y'all suggest? But I suggest that he see it's gonna be hard to negotiate and not. Well, I guess it won't be hard to negotiate because it is what it is. Trump's not sending no more money, and so by Trump not sending no more money, um, which is coming in the new future, somebody says, "Oh, Trump sent money, this and that." Everybody sees the writing on the wall. The UN, Trump, Zelensky, Vladimir Putin, everybody sees that the money is about to be cut. And so concessions have to be made now, right now, talks have to be made right now. So the deadline, Trump is like, yeah, I have to do my, I told everybody 24 hours after I get in the presidency, and it's long overdue. So now we got to make some things happen because, as you know, Trump is making fast moves as far as his promises that he made on the campaign. And one of them was ending the war in Ukraine. So, yeah, he has to get on that. Shouts out to Trump for the tariffs. He got right on that, which is good. Um, what else? So he got, oh yeah, the tariffs and the border, as you know, he got right on the bed now. He's going down his checklist. And believe it or not, before, well, no, I ain't gonna say before, he did promise tariffs. Well, he promised a lot of stuff, but he didn't give no particular order. So, but stopping the war in Ukraine is part of that top five, I would say. Even though Trump has made a lot of uh, promises during the campaign, which he's keeping, by the way. Let's not, let's definitely give credit where credit due. Trump is definitely, um, oh shit, we're dipping the road there. We're dipping the road there. Okay, so, um, one of those campaign promises was ending the war, and so now he's, like I said, check closing the border. He's deporting people. Check. He's doing a tariffs check, or making negotiations. Tariffs are just a leverage that Trump uses. It's not necessarily that he wants to put tariffs on it, but he wants Mexico, Trudeau. He wants these governments to cooperate with him. And so yeah, he uses the threats of tariffs as a leverage. And well, I didn't know that Trump would even day by day he would increase the tariffs to put more pressure on until he got what he wanted. Apparently, both Mexico and Canada folded back to Ukraine. So now, as I said yesterday, Zelensky has some money that's not accounted for. And being that Ukraine is in a corrupt country, and I did say that I do believe Zelensky. However, um, the Congress covered themselves when they cut that check for Ukraine. And yesterday I talked about channels. Therefore, the receipt from Congress shows that the money was sent to Zelensky. But Zelensky saying the money was not received. So what Trump's going to have to do, and this is why they're stalling with uh, the Cash Patels, stalling with the Pam Bondis. They're stalling because if Zelensky is telling the truth, that means the Congress, somebody in Washington, funnel out of the channel, meaning there's a channel from Congress to Zelensky to get the money. Somebody put a hole in that channel and siphoned that money. And apparently, Zelensky didn't get the money. Let's just say if Zelensky's telling the truth, this is what happened. That means it goes back to Washington. That means somebody in Washington has managed to finagle the money somehow, saying, oh, well, Zelensky got the check, but Zelensky didn't get the check. So there's a channel that exists that somehow the money was deterred. So this is what I'm trying to figure out. So again, this messes up Zelensky's whole negotiating because now he's worried in Trump's eyes, now let me put myself in Zelensky's shoes. Zelensky's looking at this like, I didn't take the money. And so now this takes the concentration off the war per se. I mean, when you go into negotiations, when Zelensky goes in there with Putin and Donald Trump, he wants to have a clear mind. And this does not allow Zelensky to have a clear mind because now, subconsciously, he's like, damn, President Trump thinks I took the money. And so this messes up his negotiation skills. So he can't, he has to go in there with a clear mind. But it's kind of Zelensky's at a disadvantage because Trump already said no NATO membership, and well, Trump didn't say it, but I think this is what's going to happen. I think there's going to be no NATO membership, and Russia's going to keep the land that they got. So um, really, Ukraine has no leg to stand on. Now I don't know how Trump is going to finagle this because remember, Russia's already under embargoes. They're already under embargoes, so Trump cannot threaten Putin with tariffs and all that stuff because when the whole conflict started, um, Russia was embargoed. So it's like, okay, you can't really come to the table and threaten Putin. So now Trump has to weigh the fact that, okay, being that Trump is a military vet, and so military vets, when we go to the West Point or when we go to these academies, we learn that uh, the victor is the one who gains land, and therefore Russia gained land. And so there's no way around that militarily, being that Putin, who has KGB background, and Trump, who has a military point. I believe what was it, West Point? I can't remember which academy Trump went to, but they both have military background, and they both understand when you gain uh, ground, when you gain victory, these are the rules. These are the rules of engagement in the military world. So and then Zelensky is an actor, so I don't know if Zelensky has military background. He might, because if I'm understanding, Zelensky was raised in Russia, not Ukraine. So I don't know if most of the time in those countries, um, when you become a teenager, you automatically get military training. It's not like here in the U.S. where you have an option. Like here in the U.S., you can opt out and not do any military training. So I think if Zelensky has military training, which I think he does, just being where he was born and where he was raised, then he should understand the engagement of war also. Like I said, the engagement rules state that if you gain that land, if you fought for that land, you keep that land. So that means if Moscow decides to use that as a bargaining chip, they can, but I doubt it. I doubt it. So, like I said, Crimea is gone, the Donbass is gone, Luhansk, Donetsk are gone, Bakhmut is gone. So, um, Odessa, I think Odessa is still safe. I think Odessa, Krakow, Odessa, and I think Krakow and Odessa are still safe, and they're on the other side of the river, um, which is good for Kiev because Kiev is Odessa and Kharkiv are like the two buffer zones right before Kiev. So Ukraine will become a neutral state. It would become a buffer state between Poland. So Poland's NATO, Ukraine will be the buffer state, and then Russia. So that falls within Russia's red line. Is red line what they call the red line? So yeah, his fate, but this still doesn't determine his fate. So again, will the army? Uh, so from what I understand, the people want in Ukraine want the war to end. You know, of course they want the war to end, but I don't know what. Uh, I guess I have to invite Ukrainian girl on here. I've seen Ukrainian girl on Pierce Morgan's show, but she's like hardcore. You know, Ukraine must defeat Russia. That's not gonna happen. So I don't know. You know, I don't know if she just represents a small minority of Ukrainians. I don't know if she, you know, I don't know if this is a sentiment after 4 years. After 4 years of long battles, you think after 4 years of battling, you think people they grow weary of the war after a while. You know, they become what they call war fatigue. You know, you read about it, especially in the any of the Civil War books or Vietnam books. You know, any uh, of the literature you read about war fatigue, and so and how the citizens become war fatigue, and so you know when I looked at Ukrainian girl, you know, even though she mentioned her mom got killed, it looked like she was in a safe area, and I know a friend of mine, I forgot his name, Jude he does like Metallica review videos. He's been safe the whole time, you know what I'm saying? So, but again, as y'all know, I've said time and time and time again, I've said time and time and time again, Putin doesn't want to kill. So that doesn't put Putin in danger, but if this war was allowed to go on, if Kamala Harris would have won the war, then Putin would have put a tighter squeeze, and it would have taken Odessa and would have taken Kharkiv, and probably would have squeezed the life out of them, Ukraine. Meaning they would have been forced to take. Let me say that again. They would have been forced to take Kiev, but because Trump is now president, it allows everybody to breathe. Everybody to breathe. It allows Putin to breathe. It allows Zelensky to breathe, and it allows people on both sides, the Ukrainians and Russians, to see that there's light at the end of the tunnel. Because you know when you got NATO and you got America and you got Canada forcing, you know, the issue of war and not jumping into war themselves, it's just like, you know, when people talk about, you know, once upon a time there was a draft, and they said, you know, I remember a lot of people talking about if these senators and these politicians and all that, if they would get drafted, these congressmen, if they would get drafted, they would end the draft. This was the talk. They did end the draft, but what I'm saying is that they wouldn't be so quick to be these warmongers. Oh, what up, Pico? What's going on? What's going on, Black Sun? Hey, yeah, I'm gonna be at the thing in about 2 hours, or no, about 1 hour. Yeah, we got about an hour before a live stream. So, yeah, Pico, man, I'm looking at this situation over in Zelensky. Like I said, Zelensky will be safe here in the U.S. He'll be safe here in the U.S. Um, I don't know how deep these Azoffs are. I don't know how, you know. I know they talked about a kill list, and so now would it be ironic now Zelensky being on that list? I don't know, but I think what I think he'll be safer in the U.S. again because it's not on Zelensky. It's just like when Trudeau uh, tried to stand up to Trump with the tariffs, and Trump told them to close the border. It is what it is. So when Trump says, like, the day's coming when we're about to cut the funds totally off to Ukraine, they just have to accept that, okay, and it's not Zelensky's fault. They have to do what they have to do. They have to cut off the funds to Ukraine. So I hope I hope the people of Ukraine understands this. I hope that they understand the situation, that the funding has to be cut off, and that Trump campaigned on this, and that his base, the MAGA base, expects an American first policy even when it comes to Ukraine. I think they understand this. I think the world understands this. They see that Trump is, like I said, not only putting tariffs on countries that are not willing to play ball with the U.S., but also deporting people. So, yeah, Trump is keeping his word. And so, yeah, in this war and cutting off funds to Ukraine is part of that promise. And so he's not going to make good on deportation and make good on let's see what Pico said. Look at what's going on. Let's see. Oh, Chubb's in the house. So they got Pico and Chubbs, man. Good morning to y'all. Good morning to y'all. So y'all see the title. I want to interact with y'all. I want to actually, this was for you guys. You know, my chat, this is for you guys to answer because I want to put it out there and just see and kind of get a feel of what you guys think. Um, do you guys have a different take on it? Do you guys think Zelensky's going to win the war? I mean, what's his fate? What's Zelensky's fate? You know, I gave my prediction, but maybe you guys have something different. Maybe you guys, um, because apparently some people, and I'm saying you guys, but some people, and you guys might have this view. Some people feel optimistic about Ukraine defeating Russia. You know, I guess some people feel that way. Like I said, I would love to get Ukrainian girl on here, you know, but I don't know, she might be hostile towards me because when she was on Pierce Morgan, she was pretty hostile, which I can understand her hostility. Like I said, she lost her mom in the war, but, you know, losing more Ukrainians is not going to obviously help the situation, you know. It's not going to help the situation because, like I said, lives are lost on both sides, and you know, war fatigue now has set in, and I think both sides want to end it, so there's no more lives lost. And this is what Trump wants. He wants no more dying, so he does not want to fund anybody's death because funding Ukraine will equal more deaths on both sides. It just is what it is, and by cutting funds, it brings up the reality of, hey, look, we gotta come to the table now. We gotta stop this and come to the table. And what best way to do that than to cut off the funds to get your attention? Cut the funds off to get your attention because as long as you're funding the war, you're putting battering back over Zelensky, and you know, which I don't understand. Zelensky said he never received the money. I'm a little skeptical on that. Like I said, I don't know whether to believe Zelensky or not, but there's been so much corruption here in the U.S. that it's almost plausible to believe Zelensky because when Trump came into office, man, there's a lot of corruption that's been unfolded and a lot of swamp creatures, you know, the swamp has been drained and there's a lot of damn swamp creatures everywhere. And so that right there allows me to give Zelensky the benefit of the doubt. But again, it's still a disadvantage for Zelensky. Whether he's telling the truth or not telling the truth, he has to be able to go in with a clear mind. And this money situation is not going to allow him to go in with a clear mind. So therefore, he's at a disadvantage because he's worried about, well, damn, does Trump think I'm a criminal? Does he think I stole the money? Like, he might be, and let's just say if he's telling the truth, when you're accused of stealing money, that can weigh on your mental, that can weigh on your conscience, because you want to clear your name, you don't want to be accused of something like that, especially that type of a money, man. It could be burdensome and it could be stressful to have somebody who is helping you thinking that you're stealing money. So yeah, that is going to weigh on Zelensky a whole lot, and that's not going to allow him to come to the table. Therefore, he's at a disadvantage because of the stress of the money that now Trump is asking for. He's like, where's his money at? So again, it might be a situation where Congress, somebody might have siphoned the money out before Zelensky could get a hold of it in Washington, D.C. That's a possibility. But again, it doesn't help Zelensky's situation. It does not help the fact that he's got to come to the table with this weighing on his mind, which is not in a good position to be in. Worrying about money, whether somebody think you stole it or not, in his mind, he's probably thinking, damn, Trump think I stole the money. Trump is thinking I'm lying to him about this money. You know, so either way, whether he stole it or not, that's going to weigh on him, and that's not going to allow him to come to the table with a clear thought. Um, you know, it's a tough situation to be in, and so, like I said, Zelensky's fate is really. Let's see what. Oh, Fox Tails 9. What's going on, Fox? Hey, what's going on, Fox? It's good to see you this morning, Fox. It's good to see all of y'all this morning, man. Pico, Chubbs, Fox Tails. It's good to see y'all, man. On this Tuesday morning, and it's very warm. It is very well. Yeah, you can't tell. I got this on right, but it is warm. It is very warm. I'm about to come out of this. Not probably not during the video, but I am coming out of this because I already feel myself getting hot. So yeah, Zelensky's fate, man. I'm just, I'm really, um, uh, like I said, when I heard about the money being taken, it automatically, I said, oh man, that's going to put him in a peculiar situation when he comes to the table. And like I said, when you're in that state of mind, you don't have the confidence to make the demands or have even the poker face to negotiate. And, like I say, you're going to have Putin there, you're going to have Trump there. It might be on a Zoom call, I don't know. But whether it's Zoom or in person, I think Trump's going to make it in person. I think you want to have something that's serious and that's significant in person. But what I'm saying is that um, by him having that money over his head like that, allows him not to have this poker face. So let's see what Fox says. Uh, Not too much. Man, just getting ready for fun day off from work. Oh, you're off today. Oh shit, damn. That means you off today. All right. So what you plan to do, Fox? What's your plans today? Because I know, hell, you be working all the time. So yeah, that should be interesting. That should be interesting. Yeah. That should be interesting. Like I said, like I said, let me back in these. So I got loaded by all three people today: Martine, Karim, and my buddy here. My buddy here. So yeah, man, everybody's unloaded me. Martine kind of loaded me light. But you know, I let Martine slide because most of the time he goes me pretty good. It's these other people that don't go me so good. Okay, so let me. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. So let's see. Let's go to the chat. So Fox says going to the local collectible shop to see some stuff I've been sitting on for a while. Okay, to sell. Okay, okay. So yeah, you're doing some house cleaning. You're doing some early spring cleaning. I can understand that doing some early spring cleaning. Yeah, I could definitely understand that. Damn, out of water. Shit, out of damn water. So yeah, I can understand that to sell. Okay. So yeah, that's my take on Zelensky's fate. Yeah, just having money laying around, might as well. Yep, yep, I can understand that. Yeah, you think so? Oh, maybe you can. You know what I'm thinking? You know what I'm thinking, Fox. You know, as we talked about that that membership, maybe you could buy a year membership for that Fallout first. Um, so Chubb says, brother, I agree with you on Ukraine. No more money, no more dying. Yeah, Chubbs. I mean, you know, it's Chubbs. This is what I thought, Chubbs. I thought even though you, Zelensky's at a disadvantage when he comes to the table with Putin and Trump, I thought, well, you know, he could do his poker face, but Chubbs, don't you think that money situation will kind of hamper his ability to negotiate? Chubbs, I mean, what's your take on that? Because I think that will, you know, again, Chubbs, I'm not saying Trump is blaming Zelensky, but Trump wants to know. Well, Zelensky said, look, I didn't get that money. So Trump has to go now and look at Zelensky and has to look at Congress and find out, okay, where did this money go? And so I think, you let me know, Chubbs, I think Zelensky's a little worried about that. I'm not saying he's guilty. I'm saying he's worried about that. You can be not guilty of something and still worried about somebody accusing you. And I mean, I'm not saying Trump is accusing Zelensky of taking the money, but it could be implied that, well, Congress sent you the money. So, yeah, that could put Zelensky at a disadvantage, don't you think? What do you think, Chubbs? I think it could put him at a disadvantage. I think that I could think it could hamper his negotiation skills. Because now he's got to worry about this money. You know, I mean, he's already worried about Ukraine and the war and Putin. Now he's got to worry about this money that was sent. Now that Trump has said is missing. So, you know, I find it very strange because, like I said, channels money can be traced. All money can be traced, unless, especially when the money's being wired or sent through a check. All money can be traced. Now, if I send you cash, that can be traced. But if I'm wiring you through the internet or if I'm approving that channel, that money can be traced. So that money is traceable. And we all know that Zelensky wanted Kamala to win. Why did Zelensky want Kamala to win? Doesn't Zelensky want to end the war just like everybody else? Because we know Kamala didn't want to end the war. So why did Zelensky endorse Kamala Harris? Makes you think. You know what I'm saying? Because we know the Biden administration were doing a lot of schemes. They were doing a lot of schemes. They were doing a lot of money schemes, a lot of money laundering schemes. They were doing a lot. They were doing a lot of criminal activities. And so, you know, I mean, a person can make the argument and say, well, Zelensky was looking at whoever was the current administration. I mean, that's rightfully so. So a person can say, well, Zelensky was just following the orders of the current administration. Chuck said, I agree. I think Trump holds the 4 acres. So you say you think Trump holds the 4 acres. That's interesting. Trump holds the 4 acres. Um, okay. I think I know what you mean by that, but can you explain that, Chubbs? Trump holds the 4 acres. Is it because he's kept his promise with the migration and the tariffs and all that? Like everything he's doing is you saying when you say 4 acres, he's saying he has the upper hand? I mean, both Zelensky and Putin respects Donald Trump, obviously. So I mean, obviously, but I think the person who has the most advantage is Vladimir Putin. Even though Trump is making moves, Trump can't do to Putin what he did to Trudeau in Mexico. Like I said, Trudeau in Mexico, I hate to say this, is our allies have more to fear than our so-called enemies. And I don't think you even think, let me say temporary enemies, because the Biden administration turned, the Biden administration turned Russia into temporary enemies, meaning that now we're going to have talks again with Russia. So that all that nonsense went out with the Biden administration. Like, oh, Russia, we're not going to talk to Russia. Oh, Russia, Russia, Russia. That's out the window now. We have a new administration, and this administration um, will look at Putin, will look at North Korea as won't look at them as enemies or adversaries. We will look at them as people we can sit down and negotiate with, whether that be China, whether that be Russia, North Korea. Only one I don't see us sitting down with is Iran. But Trump did say he doesn't want to go to war with Iran. He wants Iran to be a prosperous nation. He just don't want them having nukes. That's within reason. Let's get to this comment. So what Chubb said, he said he's going to end the war, and since America gives the most money to fund the war, Trump can stop the money and the 4 acres. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what it's come down to. Trump holds the purse, and Putin, and this is why Putin has been so patient, because Putin knows that Ukraine cannot carry on without the funding. EU can't continue without the funding. NATO can't continue without the funding. So yeah, it's not only is Zelensky at a disadvantage, but NATO is at a disadvantage because America funds most of NATO. Well, I guess because we're in charge of NATO, right? Yeah, but um, I guess I should have named this "What's NATO's fate?" What's NATO's fate? We're talking about Zelensky's fate. What is NATO's fate? Chubbs, what is NATO's fate? Do they serve a purpose after this? Because once Putin sits down with Zelensky and Trump, what purpose does NATO have after that? Oh, let me come up out of this, bro. It's hot. I thought I was gonna be able to do a video without coming up out of this. No, I got to come up out of this. It is hot. Shit. So, what is NATO's purpose after this peace negotiation? Because now one thing I don't like, and I keep hearing, is that Putin, they want Putin to do a 20-year deal. Like, no. Russia already said the red line is don't cross our borders. Don't put damn NATO on our borders. So all this 20-year shit they trying to slip in, the U.S. is trying to slip in as a no-go. Like, Putin is not going for that. And I think Trump understands this because they wanted to do this during the Biden administration, or, well, when they were starting to realize, okay, Russia's probably not going to budge up out of the Donbass region. So this 20-year thing, I don't know. I don't know if Putin's going to go for it. I doubt it. I doubt if Putin goes for it because they're not the type. Russians don't do the three-card money, and that's a three-card money. Three-card money is something that the Europeans and the Americans, Westerners, that's something that we do, and Eastern Europeans, they can become more. They're more focused and go on your word. They don't do the, hey, look over here, I got something over here, the three-card money. They don't do that. So it's going to be very hard to do that with somebody like Putin. And being that Putin is educated in the West and knows West ways, he's not going to go for it. So Moscow's not going for it. Krogov, Lavrov is not going for it. So I don't know. I don't know what advantage Trump has. I don't know what Zelensky has no advantage. So Trump has to be his mouthpiece. Trump has to be Zelensky's mouthpiece, and Trump has to have total control over that. And that's probably why Trump brought up the missing money to Zelensky, even though I believe Zelensky. But however, it puts whether whether we believe Zelensky or not, it puts Zelensky at a disadvantage at the negotiating table with that type of money missing. So right now, Zelensky is sweating and stressing over that missing money. And like I said, he may not even be responsible for the money. But because that money was written to him, there has to be an investigation. And that investigation is going to take a while. It's going to take a while because Trump has to find all the channels and then go through the channels. If there's multiple channels, there might be multiple channels with this money that went from Congress. Now, let's just say the corruption starts in Washington. That means the money was the last couple of, well, that means we got to look at Congress from the time the war started all the way up till now. Now, I'm not saying Mike Johnson is to blame. What I'm saying is that he could probably just be signing checks, and there was already probably another channel that was created before Michael Johnson became the speaker. So there's probably some type of scam going on in D.C. where the money has been funneled away from Zelensky. And if that is the case, that means the investigation has to go back at least 3.5, 4 years. So Chubb says NATO has been getting rich off of the U.S. too. Right, and this is what Trump addressed, and this is what Trump wants to end. But not only NATO, but our Congress um, is going to have to be investigated because in order to investigate the new Congress, you got to investigate the old Congress that was under the Biden administration because Zelensky said he didn't get that money. So because Zelensky made that claim, there has to be an investigation. Zelensky said, he told Trump, I did not get the money, so now there has to be an investigation. And it's not, that investigation will go back 4 years. It will go back 4 years. And that means, like, again, that means somebody is doing some nefarious things if Zelensky is telling the truth. If Zelensky is telling the truth, that means there is some nefarious work going on, and that money did not make it to Zelensky. Like I said yesterday, I believe Zelensky. For some reason, I believe Zelensky because of what's been going on in Washington. I don't put it past Washington. And so, again, Um, and I'm not saying Congress, definitely not under Mike Johnson, but before Mike Johnson, it could be some nefarious stuff going on because, like I said, uh, Nancy Pelosi had the House under the Biden administration, and that money's been flowing allegedly to Ukraine since then. So it's been 4 years, and there's been a lot of changes. But the funneling of the money, the channel, funneling money from that channel, has that changed? I don't think so. If they've been funneling money, then they've been continuing funneling money. And Mike Johnson probably had no awareness of it when he signed the check over to Zelensky, and that money was funneled out. So I think the investigation, the problem starts here in the U.S. I think the problem starts here in the U.S. Like it was said in the chat yesterday, when Ukraine does it, it's called corruption. When we do it, it's called business. So, or what used to be called business before Trump got in office. Under the Biden administration, it was called business. But now we can go back and call it corruption. So, um, it looks very suspicious when you got the Democrats stalling, when they stalling for the confirmation of Cash Patel, when they're stalling for the confirmation of Kennedy, when they're stalling for the confirmation of Tulsi Gabbard, it makes you go, wait a minute. There's some funny business going on. Like I said yesterday, I think it is a tactic to stall so that they can leave the country, so they can make preparations to leave, because they can't stop the Trump train. The Trump train is, like I said, coming with all these investigations. All these investigations are coming. And yeah, he's going to definitely want to know where the money went. And he's definitely not sending more money when the money that was allegedly sent to Zelensky, the Zelensky never got. So how the hell were they funding this war? How the hell were they funding this conflict? It baffles me, man. Were they surviving off the little bit that they were getting from NATO and the European Union? Because Zelensky again claims that he never got the money. But like I said, I don't 100% Zelensky, and I 100 don't believe. I mean, I don't 100% believe him, and don't 100% disbelieve him. If that makes any sense, I'm right in the middle, and I'm like, okay, there needs to be an investigation because I don't know. I don't know if Zelensky's lying. I don't know if he's telling the truth. Um, it is plausible because, again, what's going on here in the U.S. In the U.S., under the Biden administration, there was so much corruption. So it's plausible Zelensky's telling the truth. So Zelensky does get the benefit of the doubt when it comes to uh, him saying, look, I didn't take it. So, yeah, he deserves an investigation over that. But like I said, they're going to have to go 4 years back from Congress so they can find out what the hell's going on. So Trump says now the Dems are upset with the Musk because he's starting time with. Oh yeah, Musk. Yeah, they're upset because Musk is like doing all types of investigations and unearthing all type of corruptions, and this is what I'm talking about. And the Dems, like, they can be upset, but at one point, do the Dems say, "Okay, you know what? We give up. Let's flee." Like, Jesus Christ. You know, at what point do they just give up? Ooh, excuse me. You could tell that the Dems, like, it's the same thing that happened during the Civil War. The Civil War, even though Jefferson Davis gave up, um, General Lee gave up, you still had rebels along the Mississippi lines that didn't give up. So, you know, They fought to the bitter end, and this is what the Democrats of today are doing. They're not seeing the clear victory, seeing the clear writing on the wall that hey, it's Trump is coming. So I don't know. I don't know why they're stalling like this, But I guess it's just human nature for some people to not accept defeat and just keep fighting until they're no longer standing. Some people have that mentality. I do understand it. I guess I could say I understand it, even though when you see the walls closing in on you, it's like, well, at some point in time, you just gotta surrender. But or you gotta see that there's not a no-win situation. When there's a no-win, I guess that's better put. There's a no-win situation, then you just have to assess and look at your surroundings and think, okay, well, I gave it the good old try, I gave it the good old go, man, but yeah, it's time to put down the arms. It's time to put down, it's time to accept defeat. And Democrats, I don't know. And it's funny because when you read about the Civil War, things, a lot of them were looking to flee to like Mexico and Cuba and all that. So, and they did think about stalled taxes, like Jefferson Davis. He was thinking about an escape plan. Like a lot of them didn't want to become prisoners, and so yeah, same scenario in this present day situation. You know, like I said, when you read the Civil War book, man, you see a lot of the behaviors being played out today with the Democrat Party. And when you understand that the Democrat Party of back then is the same Democratic Party today, there was no switch. People say, oh, the party switched. No, no, obviously not, because the same behaviors of the Democrats during the 1800s is the same behavior they're doing today. Same exact behavior. So, yeah, let's see what Fox says. Damn, give up. Good joke, Black Son. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. You know, um, war. Oh, jeez. I'm not joking. I mean, I'm not joking. I'm not joking. I'm not joking, Fox. It's in our nature that we don't want to give up and we want to fight, fight, fight. But just like in sports, you got a team that's going to go in. Somebody's going to win. Somebody's going to lose. Obviously, Trump won, so I don't know. I don't know. Don't know. So that's where we're at, y'all. That's where we're at. Hey, y'all, thanks for the likes. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Appreciate the likes y'all give me this morning. Again, this Zelensky situation is looking very dim and very gloomy. And I don't know what his fate is at this point. Like I said, he's not going to go in that negotiation with a clear head. So he's not going to be able to negotiate anything in regards to Ukraine because now he's worrying about this damn money. And the money is what helps kept the war going in the first place. And so now, you know, if the documents show that he got the money, then that means he could be facing some criminal charges. Remember, Zelensky has dual citizenship, so if he lives here and he stole that money, then he will be succumb to the laws that like I said, he's a dual citizenship, so he's a resident here too. So he doesn't get immunity. He doesn't get immunity, even though, well, I take that back. I think Dignitaries from other countries do get diplomatic immunity, but um, I don't know how that will work in this situation. You know, if he's embezzling money, I don't know how that will work. I don't know if he gets diplomatic immunity. He might. I don't know. He might. I have to look it up, y'all. But again, even if he did get immunity, that's not that's not a good look in front of Trump. You know, you're asking Trump for more money, and you're asking Trump for this and that and the other, and money's missing. So I think the money's already cut off because, like I said, Trump is like, well, where's the other money? And Zelensky never got it. So the money's going to stop right then and there. That's going to stop the money right there. Just for the simple fact, Zelensky said he didn't get the money. So that cuts that off right there. So whatever aid the U.S. was giving to Ukraine is cut off. As we speak right now, it's cut off because there's no atonement for the monies that allegedly had that been sent in the past. Again, Zelensky, all the tickets, he said he didn't get the money. So that cuts that off. So you think Trump has not cut the money off already when Zelensky told him he didn't get the money? Something's going on, y'all. Again, I'm going to leave y'all with this. I think Zelensky's telling the truth. And I don't even think, at this point, I don't even think he's part of the scheme. Like I said, Biden has had a lot of schemes, a lot of financial schemes, especially dealing with Ukraine. He has a lot of schemes, man. And it's hard to believe that, say that Zelensky wasn't part of that scheme, but we'll see. The truth will come out, and the investigation will determine if there, because we know there's a scheme. The, if Zelensky's part of that scheme, that's all. That's all it will determine if he's part of that scheme. That scheme, man. His fate is really not good. It's not going to be a pretty. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good, yo. Because if it found out, if the military finds out that Zelensky was part of the scheme of Ukraine not getting no money, that's not going to. That would not end well if that was the case for Zelensky. That wouldn't end well. That could be very bad situation. Let me read this comment. Fox says, "Good show, Mr. Blackson." Oh, thanks, Chubbs, man. Thanks, appreciate that, man. Like I said, I'm just pondering on this situation. I don't know. I want to hope Zelensky's telling the truth. I hope he's telling the truth about that money. But either way, the money's cut off because whether he's Zelensky's telling the truth or not, it's not a good look that this money can't be accounted for. And Trump is not happy about it. Trump likes money to be accounted for. That's what Trump likes. Trump likes money to be accounted for. And you're not going to have unaccounted money on his watch. It's just not going to happen. So, I mean, hell, people already complaining about how, oh, Trump cut food stamps. No, he's just trying to make an account for this stuff. He's trying to make an account because you had all these migrants living off food stamps, so he had to put a freeze on it and figure out what the hell's going on. So Fox says yes, when money goes missing, that's not good. A good situation. I mean, if I had a person who I was paying, I would be suspicious as hell if it just vanished. Right, and that's where we're at. Fox. That's where we're at. We're at a situation now where Trump wants to know if this money could be accounted for. So, all right, y'all, let me get going. Shout out to Fox. Shout out to Chubbs. Shout out to Fox, Chubbs. Who else was in here? Fox, Chubbs, and Pico. I will see y'all later. Again, y'all stay tuned. I might come with another video this evening. I might come with another video this evening because I have a feeling something major is going to happen in the news. Something major is going to happen in the news. Thank y'all for the likes and the share. Later. Okay, later. With that being said, man, we out, y'all. Peace.